Hello everybody. I don't need to introduce myself now and my colleagues, so I just jump into the topic, and that will be on sustainable municipalities as a response to the current energy and climate crisis, especially from the perspective of energy communities. How shall I move to the next slide? Yes, great. So first of all, a few words about us. We are the Solidarity Economy Center. It's a relatively recent NGO, but with a very ambitious aim to transform the economy to an economy which is more based on solidarity and cooperation instead of competition and simply profit making. And we are focusing on the areas of energy, housing, and labor organizing. And basically this year we started off our community energy agency or center called Transzformátor. So first of all, how do we look at the energy crisis from the perspective of municipalities? As you all know, it was a massive hit on municipalities. I don't have to explain that it was a breakdown on municipal finances, which led to a closure and reduction of many municipal services and facilities, and basically an emergency situation in many municipal areas for residents and businesses. Again, new challenges for municipalities. So what was one of the roots of this crisis, or one of the backgrounds? And that's marketization of energy in the European Union. It started off in the 1990s with the privatization of utilities, then continued with the energy market liberalization, and now in the last decade led to the emergence of international exchange trading in the EU. How did this marketization contribute to the energy crisis? As you see in the graph, now EU gas prices are very much linked to Asian prices. So there is which shows the kind of vulnerability of ever complex supply chains. This is connected to the price fluctuations, connected to short-term trading, and the rise of speculative trading or financialization of the sector, which boosted this crisis. How to avoid the next crisis? We see that municipalities are really crucial to avoid the next crisis, but a certain approach to municipalities, what we call municipalization, is crucial. To look at municipalities as a new way, to look at municipalities as a provider of new services, to look at municipalities as an institution for participatory democracy, not just for representative democracy, meaning election of a mayor in every 4 or 5 years, and basically the engine for the local economy. What does it mean in the area of energy? It means a turn of energy to make it more of a public good, less of a market commodity, which means more energy autonomy for municipalities, to reduce their dependence on market forces, and the effort to build up new services in the area of energy for municipalities. And that's what I will explain more. Especially in connection to energy communities, which is kind of not a full picture, but I think it's very important to look at it from the perspective of municipalities. What are energy communities? Energy communities or energy cooperatives have long roots in many EU countries, decades-long roots, but it was basically the last few years when it geared up, partly thanks to EU-wide legislation, enabling to establish these communities in the form of 2 directives. So now in every EU country, you are eligible to establish energy communities. which are basically open and voluntary legal entities controlled by their members, natural people, local authorities, small businesses, with the primary purpose of not simply generating profit, but also to provide environmental, social, economic benefits through various activities. What are the benefits of community energy? I would emphasize that this is really important to build the local economy through circulation of local capital, building local skills, developing local enterprises, but also building local society to establish and mature trust between citizens and municipalities. And also to build up local democracy through participation, through new approaches to municipalities, and building a social support for the energy transition. And how can municipalities facilitate energy communities? There are various means. Some of them are relatively easy, low-hanging fruits. Some of them are more complex. So planning is a very good start, and to provide simply information for local citizens through advice, trainings, and workshops. But you can, as a municipality, also provide in-kind contributions to offer spaces for community gatherings, or to help with access to finance, not just with direct support, but simply to advise how to provide access to finance. And there are more complex means, such as municipal community or municipal cooperative corporations, basically implementing joint projects to build up local energy agencies. And we have really great examples also in the region. Nele from Tartu will speak later in the afternoon about their experiences, I hope. And lastly, I think the kind of grand vision is to have, for larger municipalities, local community-owned energy utilities providing energy for their local citizens and businesses.
Thank you, Marci. Can you hear me now? Perfect. Okay, thank you. I'm Fanni, colleague of Márton, and I continue with some good practices. Here you can see our favorite ones. I will just, thank you. I will talk about just two of them very shortly. You could say that, oh my God, these are rich Western European cities, but don't worry, they had a really bad situation to start with. So first one is Samsø. This really small island is in Denmark, in the middle of Denmark, and they have around 4,000 inhabitants, most of them working in agriculture and a bit in tourism. And they had a really bad situation in the 80s because most of the workers were going to the mainland because there were really no jobs here. And they started to become a pensionist island. So this gentleman here, oh, I cannot show. So this gentleman on the left side, initiatives that maybe the island, which were in this time 100% depending on energy coming from the mainland, maybe they should utilize their own energy sources. So they made a plan to become energy sufficient and started with energy efficiency measurements and with a huge campaign for the local people. So this guy really made two things: a very good plan and a huge effort in activating local people. And they were really successful because the people were really active. They were talking with their neighbors to join what's happening here. And they planned several local district heating plants, which were running on locally grown biomass. And also they managed to establish energy energy cooperatives, And with that, they were able to install 11 wind turbines on this little island. Some of them were built by, not built, but bought by local farmers. You can see one of them on the bottom right. Some of them of the municipality and some of them of the people living here, because they made a kind of a law that if you can see a wind turbine from your house, then you can buy a share from it. So most of the people on this island is an owner of a wind turbine here. And as you can see, they also built an energy center for them. And here is where local communities can meet each other and talk about the plans. Of course, energy experts made the plans for the island, but most of them were changed by local people. So they were really participating in this whole vision. Now they are producing twice of the amount of energy what they use, and the next step is they want to be totally fossil-free by 2030. The next example is Güssing. It's a small town in Austria, close to the Hungarian border, with really bad infrastructure. And in the 80s, they had a very high level of unemployment. 70% of the people were commuting to other cities to work. And the municipality was really close to bankruptcy because they give away millions of euros to buy electricity and fossil fuels for the city. So there was a guy called Peter Vadas, and he initiated that maybe they should think about what could they utilize from Güssing and from the region. So they also made a plan. And they made a municipality energy business from it. First, they also started with energy efficiency measurements. They were managed to cut half of the municipality's energy consumption. And then they were thinking about what kind of energy source could they use, because there was not really wind power, really poor solar power. There were a lot of forests. Half of this region is covered by forests. But traditionally, they had really fractured small forestries, which were not viable economically. So what they did is that they made an association for them. They made a forestry association. And this association aggregated these little small forestries. And they were able to contract the municipality to supply them locally grown, cheap, sustainable wood. And this was a very good start. After that, lots of district heating plants were established in this region, and they were producing electricity, cheap electricity, and cheap heat. And a lot of companies were coming here because of these cheap energy sources, and they were really able to choose between them which one is greener, which one can give more jobs for them. So it was really also a successful story. And finally now they are producing more energy than they use, so they get a lot of incomes from this area. Now they have several thousand eco-tourists every year. They have a huge renewable energy center in Güssing and a lot of research as well. So some success factors, I don't want to read them all, but I would like to highlight that people lives in every city and every town, and they could be transformed and empowered into strong communities. And this is one very important factor. The other is renewable energy sources. It's also in every settlement. So you have just to find a way how you can turn your disadvantages into advantages and go for it. Thank you very much.